What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Gonna talk about Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia. Industry sources are saying they're in advanced talks for a matchup on August 31st on Fox pay-per-view. And you remember, you heard it here first on JB Sports. I was the first one that told you that, hey, this is gonna be the most likely matchup. When we heard that Sean Porter versus Errol Spence was, they was in negotiation, and that fight was pretty close to getting done. And Manny Pacquiao versus Keith One-Time Thurman was pretty much close to getting done. They was dotting the I's, crossing the T's. I told you that left Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia as two of the high-profile names without dance partners. And you notice Mikey Garcia said in recent interviews that he was looking for big names. He didn't want to take a tune-up. He said he wanted to fight big names, man. He said that's what he wanted to do after the Errol Spence loss. He wanted a high-profile name, big fights, and Danny Garcia fits that bill. And you notice Danny Garcia, after he beat Adrian Granados, he said he was looking to fight Keith Thurman or Sean Porter or Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia. He threw Mikey Garcia's name in there. And with those three guys already tied up, that was the natural fight that he would look to. So it was just something that I kind of saw it coming. I saw what fights were getting lined up, and I said, well, these two guys are going to be left after these other fights get made, and these two guys are most likely going to get matched up, because that's the best name each one of them can fight. That's the most money that each of them can generate, man, fighting each other. Danny Garcia is going to make a lot of money fighting Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is going to make a lot of money fighting Danny. They're not going to make as much money fighting somebody else than they would fighting each other. So that was just a natural fight to be made, especially after Danny mentioned Mikey Garcia as a potential matchup before the Granados fight. He mentioned Mikey as a potential matchup along with the other three champions at 147. And Mikey said he's looking for a big name. He didn't mention Danny specifically, but he was looking at big names and a big fight, and this is the biggest fight out there for him. So it was not a surprise that this fight is being negotiated, and it's looking to happen on August 31st at Staples Center on potentially on Fox pay-per-view. So we're gonna definitely have a pay-per-view on July 20th, Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman. Then you have another potential pay-per-view fight August 31st, the next month, with Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia. And then you're looking at after that, in between those two fights, you're looking at the August 3rd matchup between Sean Porter and Errol Spence. And that fight is going to be on free TV, either on, probably more likely on Fox, but it could be on Showtime too. But if I had to make a guess, I think that fight's going to be on Fox. I think all three fights are probably going to most likely fall on Fox. Two of those fights will be a Fox pay-per-view, and then Errol Sean matchup will be on free Fox. So that's going to be good, man. We got some good fights coming up, and the winners those three fights will be set to match up. Then you still got Terrence Crawford out there, so we'll see what happens, man. Terrence is rumored to fight Kell Brook later this year in the UK, so we'll see what happens, man. We got some big fights coming up. I'm excited about this matchup. You look at boxing history, the Mexican versus the Puerto Rican have had a rich heritage of big time fights, man. You look at Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad. That was a mega fight. You remember they had a lot of buzz around that fight. Two undefeated fighters in their prime, man. That was a big time matchup. The fight didn't live up to the hype as De La Hoya elected to box and give Felix Trinidad a boxing lesson, as he said after the controversial loss. And he didn't look to go to war like he did with in the rematch with Chavez Sr. The other fights he had with Ike Corte, when he kind of went to war with those guys. But he wasn't looking to do that with Felix Trinidad. Felix Trinidad was a known knockout artist, had power in both hands, so he looked at the box. But that was a very controversial decision. He was outpointing Felix Trinidad until he took the last 3 rounds off, kind of tried to sit on his lead, but it turns out he didn't have a lead, and Felix Trinidad was able to rally and get a controversial decision. I actually thought De La Hoya won that fight, probably 7 rounds to 5, 8 rounds to 4. I thought he won it, but he took the last 3 rounds off, man, and he gave Felix Trinidad a chance to steal that fight, and that's what happened. But as far as this matchup goes, man, like I said, it's rich history of Mexican versus Puerto Rico. You know, another fight that was big was Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarita. That fight lived up to the hype. That was a great fight. You know, early on in that fight, you know, Cotto was giving Margarita a boxing lesson, man, hitting him with a combination jab. You know, he was able to, you know, get out the way, you know, get out of dodge, get his punches off and get out of dodge when Margarita tried to respond. And he was putting on a boxing clinic, but Margarita was slowly able to close the distance, and he was able to eventually catch up with Margarita with fist body shots. Went up top with hard shots to the head of Cotto, right hand, left hooks, overhand rights, and he was able to eventually break down Cotto and made Cotto submit in the second half of that fight. It turned out later that, you know, the man had loaded gloves, as he was not found with loaded gloves in that fight. But after that fight, he fought Sugar Shane Mosley, and Nassim Richardson was in the dressing room watching Margarita get his hands wrapped like they always do when they get the opposing trainer to come in there and look at them while they wrap their hands, while their trainer goes in there and look at the opposing fighter, Shane Mosley, get his hands wrapped. And as Nazim Richardson was observing him getting his hands wrapped, he saw that he was loading his gloves, you know, with plastic plaster on top of the wraps, you know, making the wraps like basically a cast on his hand, man. Basically a cast. You know, you get a cast when you break your arm in the hospital. They put a cast on your hand, and you feel that cast. You know what I'm talking about. You hit somebody with that cast, man. You can put somebody to sleep if you know with that cast on your hand. That's basically what he had. He had a cast on his fist. And then that was illegal, man. And it turned out when they took some active pictures of Margarita when he beat Cotto as he was getting carried around in the ring. They looked at those hands, man, and those hands and the wraps looked like the same similar wraps that he had in the before the Sugar Shane Mosley fight that Nassim Richardson discovered. They was able to get those hands rewrapped the proper way, and you saw what happened in that fight. Sugar Shane Mosley demolished Antonio Margarita. But anyway, man, I'm very excited about this fight, man. PBC is making it happen, man. They putting on some big time fights. I know a lot of people want to see Chance Crawford versus Errol Spence. You know, hopefully we'll get that fight, because that's the ultimate fight at 147. But in the meantime, man, we get some good fights, man. We get some 50-50 fights. You can't ask for no more. You're getting 50-50 fights. Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman, 50-50. You know, Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia, 50-50. Now, Errol Spence versus Sean Porter, Errol Spence is a favorite. But that's not like, this not Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson, where if Sean Porter beats Errol Spence, you're like, man, this is the biggest upset in the history of boxing. No, it's not like that. Or when Muhammad Ali beat Sonny Liston the first time. Oh, that was the greatest upset of all times. Cassius Clay beat the unstoppable, the unbeatable Sonny Liston. Nah, it's not going to be the case. This is going to be a competitive fight, man. Sean Porter has never been dominated, so that's going to be a good fight. I give Errol the credit because he's the bigger fighter. He's got a longer reach. He's the better, to me, overall boxer, and I think he's more of he's just a little bit better than Sean in every category. I think that's what it's going to boil down to. He's a little bit better than Sean in every category. He's a better boxer than Sean Porter. He's a better, if Sean want to get down there and get dirty and make it a brawl like he likes to do and make it a physical toe-to-toe battle, Errol Spence is better than that. Better than him in that category. And aggressiveness and, one-on-one phone booth type of fight, Errol Spence to me is better in that category. I think he's just a better body puncher, and he's a more accurate and a more precise puncher. So I think he's better than him in that situation. So I just think Sean Porter is probably, maybe you give Sean Porter, maybe you give him a slight edge and maybe athleticism, but I don't even know if you give him a slight edge in there. That's very close. You can make an argument that maybe Errol is more athletic, but maybe I say at least Sean Porter is even with Errol Spence as far as athleticism. But outside of that, man, Errol's got the edge in both categories as far as boxing and brawling. I think he's got the advantage over Sean Porter. So we'll see what happens, man. But as far as Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, that fight is going to be in Staples Center in Los Angeles. So he's going to be more of a pro Mikey Garcia crowd, because that's going to be pretty much a hometown fight. He's going to have a lot of Latinos down there. But Danny's fought down in L.A. too a lot of times, as he just fought down there in his last fight against Adrian Granados. He fought in the Stubb Center. So he's had other fights in LA too. So I think the fight with Brandon Rios, I believe that fight was in LA. I think that was in LA. So he's been fighting he's got a name out there on the West Coast. So he'll have plenty of support. I'm sure a lot of the Puerto Ricans will be flying down from Harlem, New York. You know, a lot of them be following, you know, East Harlem, stand up. They'll be down there supporting Danny Garcia. Danny have a lot of people from Philadelphia flying down there. You know, Danny Garcia comes from a rich heritage, man, in the city of Philadelphia, man. You look at the great fighters that come out of Philadelphia. Joe Frazier, the Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. Now you got J. Rock Williams, another champion coming out of Philadelphia. So Philadelphia has a storied, rich history in the sport of boxing, man. So Danny Garcia is another great fighter to come out of Philadelphia, and he'll be looking to keep it going, man. As he looked very impressive, man. He showed an aggressive style against Adrian Granados. He didn't kind of sit back and counter, take his time, and starts fights off slow like he sometimes does, and picks it up in the end. I think that probably cost him in the Keith Thurman fight. He came out aggressive, looking to land bombs. He was able to get Granados out of there. I think he'll be trying to do the same thing with Mikey. He'll be looking to be aggressive, show that he's the bigger, stronger fighter. He'll be looking to catch Mikey with the left hook. Mikey is a very smart fighter, so Mikey is going to be looking to take that left hook away. But as you've seen in the Granados fight, Danny Garcia was landing right hands that was hurting Granados too. So he showed that it's not you just not got to worry about my left hook. My left hook is known by me, you know, to knock people out. You know, I've got a history of knocking people out with the left hook, but I've got a right hand also, as he showed in Adrian Granados fight. So I think what Mikey's gonna do, he's gonna probably with the left hook, he's gonna probably I think Mikey's gonna probably try to circle toward his right and move right to try to take the left hook away from Danny, but he'll be, you know, in range of Danny's right hand. So it's gonna come down to Mikey's gonna say, okay, you caught Granados with the right hand, but I'm gonna still take your best weapon away. Your best weapon is the left hook. I'm gonna circle to my right. I'm gonna circle to my left, you know, and I'm gonna take away your left hook. You know, you throwing that left hook, I'm gonna circle to my left to take that away. So it's gonna be very, very, very interesting to see how that fight transpires. Mikey, I think Danny's got the advantage in power, in size. Mikey's probably got the advantage in timing. But even though, you know, Danny's a good timing fighter too, he can time good too. He timed very well. So I think I get maybe a slight edge to Mikey in timing. I think Mikey's probably got the better jab. You know, obviously Danny's got the better left hook. And it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight, man. What I wonder about this fight is Danny. You know, Danny's not a natural 147 pounder as you've seen in the Errol Spence fight. And then people quiet as kept, man, Danny Garcia is a big welterweight. You know, that's why you notice in the interview, Danny's talked about moving up to 154 to capture another world title. People kind of dismiss that, but Danny is a big 147 pounder. You know, people thinking, oh, he come up from 140 and he's not a you know, they don't look at him as a big welterweight like they look as an Errol Spence. But he's a huge welterweight. And I kind of noticed that actually in the Keith Thurman fight when they was sizing each other up as the referee was giving them instructions. I was looking at him, I was like, man, Danny is bigger than Keith. And Keith has fights at 154. I said, Danny is bigger than Keith, man. He's bigger. And Keith was able to catch him early in that fight, and he hurt Danny early in that fight. But Danny was able to stand up, man. And in the second half of the fight, Danny had a lot of success. So Danny is a big 147 pounder. You know, he was just too big and too talented for Granados. I think Garcia is technically a most sound fighter. He's not going to be trying to actually stand toe to toe necessarily like Granados did. He's gonna kind of move around and wait to counter Danny. Danny's gonna be looking to land big shots, and I think Mikey is gonna let Danny kind of bring it to him, and he's gonna try to sit back and catch Danny coming in. I think that's gonna be the case. He's gonna try to catch him. He's gonna try to time him, and Danny's got a good left hook to the body too, man. He does a good job of going to the body with the left hook. You know, Danny's looking to go with the left hook to the head and put you to sleep. But Mikey's got a good left hook too, so he's gonna be trying to break down Danny Garcia, man. As you notice, when Danny fought Mauricio Herrera is like a poor man's Mikey Garcia. You know what I'm saying? He don't have the power Mikey Garcia had, but he's a very slick, a very smart, technically sound fighter, and he was able to have a lot of success against Danny. Danny was trying to, if that fight took place in Puerto Rico, Danny was trying to put on a show in front of his fans. You know, he's got a Puerto Rican heritage. You know, his father was got some family from Puerto Rico, so you know he's born in Philadelphia, but he's from Puerto Rican heritage, so he probably had a lot of family relatives down there. So he was trying to put on a show, so he was overly aggressive, and Mauricio Herrera was able to take advantage of that, man. He's able to slip a lot of punches that Danny was throwing. He's able to counter Danny, and he put on a beautiful boxing display against Danny. And now if that same Danny that showed up against Mauricio Herrera come out there against Mikey gonna beat him. Because Mikey is a better version of him. A lot of people thought Herrera beat him, you know, but it was a very close fight, and Danny got the decision. And I actually thought Herrera beat Danny, you know, and that's in that fight. When I watched that fight, I thought Herrera won that fight. But, you know, Danny got the decision. It was a close fight. It could have been a draw too. But I thought if anybody won that fight, I thought Herrera won the fight. But anyway, if I think another thing what Herrera did, he had Danny kind of thinking too much in that fight. Danny was thinking, because Danny had ran out of answers in that fight. He just couldn't figure out Herrera's style. He had a hard time figuring out his style, and he pretty much had Danny Garcia second guessing himself in that fight. And if he gets to the point where he's second guessing this fight against Mikey Garcia, the fight's over. Mikey gonna beat him. You know, Mikey is at a high skill and a high level. If he see he got Danny flustered and second guessing himself, then he gonna put his foot on the gas. He gonna step it up, and he's gonna start looking and laying big shots on Danny, and maybe trying to hurt Danny, get Danny, out of there, try to stop Danny. So it's gonna be very interesting to see, man. You know, Danny Garcia definitely gonna have to be on top of his game. He's going to be at the level he was when he fought Granados. If he's at that level, very aggressive, throwing bombs, trying to implement his size and strength on a guy that's smaller than him, you know, it's gonna be a great fight. But you know, if he comes out there, if Mikey can get him to second guessing, hesitant on throwing punches, not willing to just let his hands go like he did in the Granados fight and confuse and frustrate Danny like Herrera did, then it's gonna be Mikey fight all day long. So it's gonna be a good fight, man. I give an official prediction as we get closer to the fight, but I'm just giving you different scenarios of how the fight might play out, man. But it's gonna be a great fight, great matchup. In other boxing news, man, we're gonna talk about Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury say, hey, WBC, y'all, they treated me fair. You know, they put me as a mandatory for Wilder, 50-50. They had the deal on the table, and I walked away. But WBC has been fair to me. They've been more than fair. They treated me well. So I tell you what, this is what Tyson Fury say. Put the WBC diamond belt on the line, and me and Dylan White can rumble. That's basically what he said. We can make it happen. And he said, Dylan White ain't on my level, basically. He said I can beat him 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. So he said, let's get it on. That's what the Gypsy King say. There's only one Tyson Fury. Yeah, he called him out. So we'll see what happens. And as far as Dylan White got on his Twitter post and said, look here, man, let's make it happen then. You say you can beat me 6 times a week and twice on Sunday. He said I can beat you 7 days a week and 5 times on Sunday. He said, you talking about you gonna knock me out? When the last time Tyson Fury knocked out an elite level fighter? He knocked out some people, some CD level fighters. But when the last time he knocked anybody out of relevance? That's basically what Dylan White said. So he said he ain't knocking nobody out, let alone me. So it's gonna be interesting to see, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how it play out, man. Hopefully the fight go down, man. After Dylan White takes care of Oscar Rivas and Tyson Fury takes care of Tom Hanks. Hopefully that fight will take place. I know his name ain't Tom Hanks, it's Tom Schwartz, but it might as well be Tom Hanks. Magnum PI in the house. It might as well be him. You know, I ain't never heard of this guy, man. Where this dude come from? Seriously. Where Tom Schwartz, where that dude come from? That dude came out of nowhere. Then Tyson Fury talking about, man, they was talking about, let's compare opponents. Let's compare my opponents to Wilder opponent and Joshua opponent. Let's compare Schwartz to Ruiz and Brazil. They almost pretty much the same. No, man. It ain't even like that, man. It ain't nowhere close to being the same, man. Tom Schwartz is man. You get on boxing race, he's not even in the top 90. So I don't know what the WBO. That's Bob Arum is got the WBO in his pocket. He told WBO to put him at number 2 because who he beat to be number 2 in the WBO? You know that them WBO rankings almost worse than the 147-pound IBF rankings, Errol Spence rankings when he the champ. He got Ocampo. We ain't never heard of him. He was the number 1 contender for Spence. Spence had to fight him, get that mandatory out the way. They rankings about as worse as them, or worse as the IBF rankings. You got a bunch of nobodies on there. You got Sean Porter when he lost to Kell Brook. He lose that fight in a very close fight. A lot of people thought he beat Kell Brook. It was a close fight. Kell won, and they dropped Sean Porter out the rankings. He wasn't even in the top 15 in the IBF. That's why you wonder why him and the dad got plexed toward the IBF, and that was one reason why they wasn't really thrilled about fighting Errol when they was asking for that fight. You know, last year they were like, man, we're not gonna fight for no IBF belt because the way they did us, we don't want to have nothing to do with the IBF. But they was able to I guess get out their feelings with the IBF, and now it's like they're gonna fight for Errol Spence IBF belt, and Sean Porter's gonna put up his WBC belt in a unification matchup on August 3rd at the Barclays. But anyway, man, we'll see what happens, man. Tyson Fury is trying to pump up the Tom Schwartz fight, man. The fight ain't got no buzz right now. It's gonna be in June 15th in Las Vegas. It's gonna be interesting to see what kind of crowd they're gonna have. Maybe they have a lot of people flying down from the UK for that fight. But as far as American fans, they have no interest in that fight. They don't even know who this guy is, Tom Schwartz. This is probably gonna be a glorified exhibition match, a glorified sparring match for Tyson Fury, and he's trying to compare that fight. I'm actually excited for Wilder in Brazil. I can't wait for that fight Saturday night because I think Deontay Wilder going to put on a hell of a show. And I think Dominic Brazil, knowing this is his second chance at a title. The first chance he got knocked out by Joshua. If he loses again, it's going to be a long time coming before you get another title shot. So he's going to be looking to step his game up. He got Virgil Hunter, one of the best trainers in boxing in his corner. So that's going to be a good fight, man. You got a lot of bad blood, a lot of hatred. It's like a rivalry here, so it's going to be a good fight. I'm excited for that fight. And I'm actually excited for Anthony Joshua and Ruiz. I think Ruiz is maybe top 10 heavyweight. He's easily a top 10 heavyweight, and people probably say, oh, JBsports, that's not saying nothing. After the top 3, it's a bunch of garbage. After you get past Wilder, Fury, and Joshua, it's a bunch of garbage. Nah, it's some good fighters out there. It's clearly a cutoff line after the top 3. You got the top 3, the big 3. Wilder, Fury, and Joshua. That's the big 3. And it's a step down after that, but it's not like a step. It's not like you stepping off a cliff. Grand Canyon drop. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that. They got some good fighters down there. Dylan White has gotten better over time since the Joshua knockout. Andy Ruiz, he's probably got the fastest hands in the heavyweight division. He got hand speed like a middleweight. You got Dominic Brazil, probably got one of the hardest hitting right hands in heavyweight boxing. The only person that probably hits harder with the right hand is obviously Wilder and maybe Joshua. Outside of them two, you can't name a guy that hits harder with his right hand than Dominic Brazil. He's got power in that right hand. And it's gonna be interesting to see if he lands on Deontay Wilder, what will happen after that? Because he's shown that with that right hand he can hurt anybody in the heavyweight division. So it's gonna be interesting to see, man, in that fight. And Andy Ruiz Joshua fight is gonna be interesting. Simply the fact is, quiet as kept, Joshua ain't been the same since the Klitschko fight. Ain't been the same. UK fans, I know y'all love Joshua. Y'all thinking he's still that monster. But he's not shown that. Maybe he'll show that this fight. But ever since he got dropped against Vladimir Klitschko, he got back up, showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of balls and rallied and showed that he was he was too young, too fresh, too athletic, and he went to the body well and just overwhelmed Klitschko with the volume of punches he was throwing. And he was able to win that fight. But you notice after they stopped that fight, as he was walking back to his corner, he had that look on his face like, man, I do not want to go through that again. He had that look like, man, oh man, this was something I ain't never experienced before, and I don't want to experience again. And, you in there with a knockout artist like Wilder, you'll think twice about signing up to fight him, even if he do guarantee $50 million. You thinking like, man, Klitschko dropped me, man. I want to go through that, and I'm going against a guy that's more athletic, that hits 10 times harder than Klitschko. If I get dropped by Wilder, I probably won't get up. If I do get up, I might get knocked out again. Klitschko took his foot off the gas. He thought he probably had me. He thought he probably can coast to a decision. Wilder going to be going for the kill. Wilder like a shark in the water when there's blood in the water. You see that blood in the water, he going on attack. He in a frenzy going on attack. And that's one of the reasons why I think Joshua don't want to have nothing to do with Wilder in his right hand right now. We'll see what happens. But I like those two fights with Joshua and Ruiz and Wilder in Brazil. It's going to be very interesting to see. Tyson Fury is talking crazy, trying to pump up nobody never heard of that he's fighting on June the 15th. But he's trying to be a salesman because he needs those numbers. The ESPN is putting a lot of money behind him, and he needs to produce numbers for them. They produce numbers for him as far as monetary numbers. He's gonna have to produce numbers for them as far as crowd attendance and TV ratings. Because ESPN is looking to expand. ESPN Plus is looking to expand that platform. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens, man, as that goes on. But it's been, we got some great fights coming up, man. And later on this week, I'll be breaking down Dominique Brazil versus Deontay Wilder. That's going to be a matchup I'm very, very looking forward to. I'm going to tell you something. These are fights I'm really looking forward to for 2019. This is one for I'm looking forward to Wilder versus Brazil May 18th, this Saturday at Barclays. I'm looking forward to Jamel Charlo versus Tony Harrison on June the 23rd. And I'm actually looking forward to, the only reason I'm looking forward to this, I'm going to be at this fight. I'm looking forward to the June 29th fight between Jamel Charlo versus Adams. The guy Adams, Adams at 160 pounds fight. Erickson Lubin's going to be on the co-main event. That fight's going to be at NRG Arena in Houston, Texas. I'll be there at the fight. You see JB Sports, come holler at your boy. Take a selfie with me. Do what you do. Holler at me. And give me a shout out, man. And I'll definitely be at that fight. Looking forward to that fight. Jamel Charlo is one of the best young rising stars in the sport of boxing. Got sick power, as you saw when he knocked out J-Rock and when he knocked out his last fight, the fight before he beat Carball. He fought in the Barclays against that one-legged guy. I can't remember his name. As he knocked him out, and then he knocked out the guy. I can't remember his name. It was the Latino fighter. They did that big PBC promotion. They had that big PBC press conference when they had all the fighters that was fighting last year when they had the schedule come out. The guy that Jamel Charlo fought after that. Yeah, he knocked him out in a beautiful knockout. But Jamel Charlo's is coming up on June 29th, and your boy JB Sports definitely going to be in the house for that fight. So so we got a lot of good fights coming up, man. I'm looking forward to Keith Thurman versus Manny Pacquiao. That's another fight I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to all the welterweight fights. Errol Spence, Sean Porter, August 3rd is a great matchup. And I'm looking forward to Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia. Because Mikey Garcia taking another loss. He can talk about it. He want to be in big fights and he's looking for the big name. He taking another loss. It ain't gonna be no more. It ain't gonna be no more big fights, big names. He gonna have to take a step back and he's gonna have to work his way back up. So it's a must win for him. And Danny Garcia is definitely don't want to take another loss, as he had back-to-back tough fights when he was at the top fighting elite competition when he lost to Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Now you in another fight against a high-level elite fighter. If you come up short again, they're going to say, well, Danny, you're a good B-plus fighter, but you're just not at that A level. You're a B-plus fighter. You can beat the Granados and the Zab Judah when he's past his prime, and win a close decision against Mauricio Herrera, and you can beat a Lamont Peterson. But when you get in there with the elite level Keith Thurmans and Sean Porters and the Mikey Garcia, if he loses, you come up shorter than a midget on his knees, basically. So we'll see what happens, man. It's a big time fight. It's a must win for both fighters. As all fights are must wins, but these two fighters can't take losses, because if they do, they're gonna have to probably work their way back up. They still can be fighting other fighters on as far as that next step down from elite level. They can still have fights with those type of fighters, Andre Bertos and Devin Alexanders and Victor Ortiz. They can still fight those type of fighters. But if you're talking about fighting the Errol Spencers and the Manny Pacquiao and the Keith Thurmans and the Sean Porter and the Terrence Crawford, you've got to win this fight August 31st. That's it. You got to win that fight, Danny Garcia. You got to win that fight, Mikey Garcia. So it's gonna be a great matchup, a great heritage in boxing. Like I said, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. It's gonna be a lot of Latinos in the crowd tonight. It's gonna be an electric atmosphere, and I can't wait to see that fight, see that matchup. It's gonna be on more likely on Fox pay-per-view August 31st. So we'll see, man. A lot of great fights coming up. So I'm about to get up out of here, man. Get ready to watch some NBA. Got Golden State coming up against Portland, man. We'll see how they match up. KD won't be playing tonight, so it'll be on the Splash Brothers, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You got Draymond doing the dirty work, so we'll see what happens. See if they're gonna still keep that same small ball lineup with Draymond Green at the 5, as Portland has a more true center than the Rockets had, and Cantor. Cantor is a back to the basket guy that you can dump it down to, and he can score in the post a little bit. It's gonna be a great guard matchup. You got Splash Brother going against McConnell and Dame Dollar. Dame's gonna be looking to have a big time game. As the game 7, he went 3 for 17. Didn't have a good game, but CJ McConnell took over and was able to win that game with 37 points, as he just took over in the fourth quarter, as he was the best player on the floor in game 7. So it's gonna be a good matchup. He's gonna be looking to bounce back and have a big time game. Dame Dollar and then CJ McCollum gonna have a lot of confidence coming off game 7 against Denver. And then you're gonna get the Splash Brothers. Both of them played well in eliminating the Rockets in game 6, as Steph Curry had 0 points in the first half. In the second half, he had 33, and he had a big fourth quarter to put the Houston Rockets away. And Klay had a great first half, as he kept Golden State right there even with the Rockets, as it was tied at halftime, 57-57, and he kept them close, and Steph Curry was able to bring them home. So it's going to be a great matchup, man. JB Sports about to get up out of here and get ready to watch that game. And watch that game, man, and kick back and watch game 1. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.